Shadow Immigration Minister Stephen Kinnock gave a brutally honest review of the Rwanda policy. And there isn't much more I can add commentary-wise, to be honest. But the look on Robert Jenrick's face was priceless. I think the only thing that really annoys me about the policy, really, is the taxpayers' money that's been spent on it. They know full well it's not going to help, when all they've got to do is just set up a processing centre in France, and that will literally stop the boats coming across overnight. And you know, it's around about 85 to 95% of people that are applying get approved anyway. And the amount of money that they keep throwing at this thing could be used to be recruiting more staff to clear the backlog of people waiting to be processed. Just get them processed. Anyway, that's enough of me ranting. Have a listen to this and tell me what you think down in the comments. Is he spot on or has he missed the mark?
So, here we go again. Another day, another bill that's designed to chase headlines and manufacture controversy rather than tackle the asylum crisis that's been caused by the incompetence and indifference of the last 13 years. Although I have to say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that a casual observer of the Prime Minister's recent trip to Dover could be forgiven for thinking that it was all sorted. Job done. There he was, sporting his supersized new boots and boasting about the slight decrease in crossings, whilst apparently failing to realise that strong winds in the Channel were the actual cause of his somewhat premature celebrations. Because since he danced his victory jig in Dover, we've seen the Channel crossings skyrocket, with the busiest June yet for the criminal people smuggling trade. 3,824 asylum seekers made the dangerous journey last month. Mr. Deputy Speaker, call me old-fashioned, but an asylum strategy that's based on the weather is probably not a sustainable strategy. And then we have the Home Secretary, of course. She jetted off to Rwanda on a taxpayer-funded vanity photo shoot to champion the new housing being built for the asylum seekers she dreams of one day flying over there. But again, all was not as it seemed. The housing estate she was showcasing is largely due to be used to house Rwandan nationals. And last week, the Court of Appeal reminded her that, even if her plan does go ahead, the Rwandan authorities can only process around 100 asylum claims per year, less than 0.3% of last year's small boat crossers. I'm not sure what the Home Secretary plans to do with the other 99.7% of asylum seekers, Mr. Deputy Speaker, or indeed why she thinks a 0.3 chance of removal to Rwanda is likely to put off a single asylum seeker considering paying money to a people smuggler. In order for a deterrent to be effective, it must be credible intervention, but I think he's misunderstanding the basic psychology here. We're talking here about people who have risked life and limb already to take a very dangerous journey to get as far as the Channel. So the idea that a 0.3% chance of being removed to Rwanda is going to deter people who've already taken such massive risks, I simply think that that idea is for the birds. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the Immigration Minister, whose latest foray into playing the tough guy was to order that Mickey Mouse cartoons in immigration centres be painted over because they were just too cheery for his liking. Mr. Deputy Speaker, many of these children are running away from unimaginable horrors. So I really do hope that the Minister will take some time to reflect on the morality of his actions. But it is also the sheer pettiness and petulance of it that really is quite astonishing. Because painting over Disney characters in immigration centres will not stop the boats, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I can't believe I even need to say those words. So these three short stories about the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary and the Immigration Minister make it clear that we're not exactly dealing with a well-oiled machine here. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this whole sorry tale is a shambolic farce. And the cost to the taxpayer of the Rwanda policy, of this legislation and of the asylum backlog has become utterly extortionate. The cost of the asylum system now is estimated by the National Audit Office to be 7 times as large as it was under the last Labour government, at an astonishing £3.6 billion. Almost 50,000 people are stuck in hotels at £7 million a day, with 172,000 in the backlog. For the avoidance of doubt, this is the real backlog, not the imaginary legacy cases invented by the Prime Minister as a way of spinning the numbers.
is effectively, substantively to entrench, to incorporate those conventions into UK domestic law. Now, that's not something, surely, that should be done by way of an amendment to an Act of Parliament. There may be arguments for or against it, but that's the effect of what it does. It's not an interpretive clause, it's an incorporative clause, and that's the problem for some of us about doing it in that way at this time, in this particular bill.
I thank the Chairman of the Select Committee for that intervention. What I would simply say is that let's not forget that on page 1 of this bill it says the government cannot confirm that this bill complies with international law. I would also remind him that we are dealing with a government that seems to be more than prepared to break international law, the Northern Ireland Protocol just being one example of that. So I'm afraid that it's just not possible to take the word of this government on trust, on face value, and that's why additional safeguards have to be built into the process. The benches opposite know the asylum system is broken. Indeed, they admit to it, and they should know because they broke it. And their attempts to fix it are a shambles. The Conservatives have taken a sledgehammer to our asylum system, and British taxpayers are paying the price. And perhaps the most disheartening aspect of this whole fiasco is they never take responsibility, and they always try to pass the buck. They blame the British legal system. They blame the civil service. They blame the EU. Mr. Deputy Speaker, they even blame the football pundits. But they have a working majority in this place. So it's on them and on them only. And they have failed. So they need to get out of the way. We need a general election, a Labour government, and our comprehensive plan to stop the boats and fix the broken asylum system. And we need it now.
Stephen Kinnock also pointed out some interesting facts about the Rwanda deal to Genrick at an earlier session, and you can watch that video that's on screen now. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.